Welcome to the Medicare Cafe pre-chat, where I'm learning all about Carrie's mom. Grew up in Tahiti
and Hawaii.
That's crazy. And I'm learning that I didn't know this, but in Tahiti they speak Polynesian French.
French Polynesian, yep.
Interesting. So welcome to the pre-chat, where we talk about sometimes Carrie's mom, and she's got it going on. So welcome. But yeah, so I do speak French.
Do you?
No, not well. I know a couple, like...
Oh, no. There we go. We're unfrozen.
This is fine. I do know, like, a couple phrases here and there. I took French for 7 years.
Okay.
And
so you know a decent amount.
No. That means nothing. But I did take it for 7 years. But, like, it's, like, the proper French, not, like, the cool French. Like, if I went to, like, Canada... They would look at me like I needed a pocket protector and like braces, you know. And so I'm not like a cool French person.
Well, how dumb is this? My mom's like fluently speaks French, but all three of us kids took Spanish. Why?
I'm the exact opposite.
Why? We had somebody who could help us.
No.
I'm sure it was all just because, like, our friends took it, or took Spanish, you know?
So I actually have, like, some Hispanic, like, my cousin married somebody from Mexico. They have 3 beautiful children, but English is all of their second language. They all speak, you know, Spanish, and then I took French. So, like, I get it. We're dumb. We work hard, not smart. So welcome. So before we get going into the Medicare Cafe, welcome everybody. If you do want to connect with Carrie and I, feel free to text us. You can also put comment on the side chat bar here below. But Carrie shared some really exciting news with me this morning, talking about your day tomorrow. So tell me a little bit what you're doing.
Yep, I'm meeting with 3 new financial advisors and their firms.
Just to add them to your little staple.
Yep.
Stable.
Doing. Staple?
Stable. I'm trying to make like a pimp reference. It's not going well. Anyways, you were saying.
Yeah, and so I'm just presenting about Medicare and how I can help their clients to 3 different. Let's see. The first one's just one advisor. The second 2 are, I know one of the advisor at their firms, and they're connecting me to the rest of their team. Mm-hmm. So, you know, one of them, I think there's 5 of them that I'm meeting with. The other one is 10. Their whole staff, admin, everybody.
But weren't you saying it's because, like, their clients right now are just, like,
yep,
purse strings clutch, like, they're so scared of the economy right now?
Yeah. He specifically, the owner of the firm, reached out to me saying, you know, we are seeing an increase in our clients' like anxiety about healthcare and retirement. And he was like, we really need to just learn more about Medicare and how we can help calm these fears that they have.
That's so. I mean, like, it's fair. I get it. It's scary.
I mean, I think everybody's anxious about inflation,
money,
and costs, and everything. Yeah.
And everything. Again, like now it's gas is going up to be over $5 a pop. It's all crazy. So, but speaking of things that are unpleasant and that we don't like, let's talk about taxes. Oh, this is again something.
Dun, dun, dun. Good stuff.
I never learned how taxes work. I know that it's something. It's like Rachel, all friends, who's like, who's this FICA guy and why is he taking my money?
Why is he taking all my money?
That's me. That's my understanding of taxes. So
didn't we have somebody that listens in that's an accountant?
We do. Girl, speak now.
Speak now.
Tell us. Maybe we'll invite you
Put us in place if we say something wrong.
Yes. But we, senior marketing specialists, we actually did a tax webinar a few months back in February. Will Pierce, who had to have the worst childhood ever. Both of his parents are CPAs.
Ooh.
He has a personality. It's crazy. I don't understand it. But he did a webinar earlier this year for senior marketing specialists talking about taxes in your agency. Okay. But this was actually an idea that you brought up, wanting to talk specifically about like how do taxes affect your clients and how they affect your agency.
Yeah, because there's taxes from both avenues that you should be aware of, in my opinion.
Oh,
because clients are going to have questions, and you should answer them. You should be knowledgeable about Medicare taxes.
If you want to be logical about it, then fine. Ultimately, who do taxes affect?
Everyone like death.
I have a very grim outlook on taxes.
I must have missed that slide when you sent that. I literally didn't see that.
I didn't get the text of being like, girl, maybe you're being a little dramatic. But you know the old saying, how it goes. The only 2 things in life that are certain are death and taxes.
And today, now they have a death tax even. So
But
they're going to tax you when you die.
This is the saddest Medicare Cafe we've done. But yeah, and I think, again, that's just something like, there's just so much. There is a reason why there is an entire industry surrounding how to navigate the tax code.
It's
insane. I can't know everything that I know about Medicare and then it be expected to know about things like write-offs, things like that. It is. So
and imagining the stress that, like, if there's a new administration and they change everything, like all the amendments, like that baffles me. So all you accountants out there, you have my just full praise.
My full praise. I have nothing left to give you other than my undying love. But we wanted to talk
please
about...
contribute today.
Yes, please. And we wanted to talk about today about, like, what do taxes and Medicare have to do with each other for your clients and for your agency. So let's start first with your clients. How do taxes hit your clients where it hurts? And I think the first thing that you mentioned was the IRMA, Income-Related Monthly Adjusted Amount, a.k.a. IRMA.
I think that has to be the biggest one. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm probably talking about that with 90% of my clients.
Yeah.
Again, it stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. There's different thresholds. There's 6 brackets of, you've got the base Part B premium that would be $170, and then there's 5 additional brackets that it could be higher than that, going up all the way to, I think it's $548 is the top bracket. So if your taxes, always remember, it's from 2 years prior.
Yes.
That's the kicker, 2 years prior. If it's modified adjusted gross income. So it's not just, some people think, well, my W-2 income was $100,000. It's your modified adjusted gross. So that's a different number than just your gross wages.
I didn't know that.
It's a different number. So modified adjusted gross is what you're looking at.
So does that mean, forgive me, does that mean that it's like income, like if you have rental properties, that's income from your rental properties plus the income from your W-2 plus the income from this, like that's all of it? What does that mean?
So it's kind of weird, but
I love it.
You have your gross income that's, your W-2 income, your capital gains income. Any type of income goes into your gross income. And then you have your AGI, your adjusted gross income, which is after deductions. And then your modified adjusted gross income, they actually add some deductions back in. So it's that last number. And so it's that modified adjusted gross that is counting towards IRMA. And, there's different strategies that you can really use. And some of this might be, more than I guess what we would need to know. But really it's...
No, let's hear it.
Well, it's so... when you're in your retirement years, there's a difference between a Roth IRA or a 401k and a traditional. The traditional...
I need to be taking notes.
The traditional is all pre-tax money.
Okay.
So if somebody's retired and taking money out of their 401k that's pre-tax, that's considered income to them.
And that's taxable
income. So if you have a Roth account, all those distributions, you've already paid taxes on them. So you don't have to pay tax when you take that money out.
Interesting.
So if you are someone that is, I meet with surprisingly several people that are kind of right on the boundary lines of those different tax brackets. So one of the things I tell them, and a lot of times the financial advisor is in the room, is I'll say, hey, we are like $2,000 away from this threshold. That means it's going to be $100 more per month on their Medicare per spouse. Like, that's significant. So let's look at, all of their income streams. Maybe it makes more sense to take from the Roth IRA because that's not going to put them in that tax bracket.
This is a lot. That's crazy.
Or,
keep going, yes.
Or there's things like so many retirees, they're retired, but they get like a little part-time job. All of that.
The Walmart greeters.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I know those words. I'm back on board. Okay.
Sometimes that can bump them up. And they're like, well, this is just a part-time, thing I have for fun.
Yeah, to keep me busy.
And now I'm going to pay double on my Medicare premiums. Maybe I'll cut it back 5 hours or something.
Yeah.
So there's just, you have to look at your total income, all sources of income when IRMA is concerned. And then the other thing I'll say is about HSAs. So any distribution from an HSA account doesn't count towards your modified adjusted gross.
Okay.
So
say that in language that Olivia understands.
So any distribution that you take from an HSA isn't going to count towards your income.
Okay.
Just like a Roth distribution.
Got it. And that's so interesting because, again, we have a lot of people. If you have a client, okay, now I can talk about things that I understand. I was really scared there for a little bit. So, like, when it comes to HSAs, we do know that HSAs do, like, retroactivate what you can contribute 6 months prior. Mm-hmm. So make sure that if you're talking to somebody on an HSA, just understand that they're going to basically look at what they gave 6 months prior, and they have to take that back out.
Yeah, so they could, if you are enrolled in Medicare and are contributing to an HSA, the government is going to make you back that out and pay an excess tax on that amount. Yes, because an HSA is like it's an amazing vessel. It is.
I love how, like, you're so lit up right now. You're just like, it's an amazing vessel.
It is. It has 3 amazing, like, if anybody out there has the capabilities to contribute to an HSA, do it. Because any contribution you make, you can tax deduct that. The money grows tax deferred, and it also comes out tax free. There's no other investment vessel that has those 3 capabilities. It's amazing. So
I'm learning. I am not even like a little bit sarcastic. I literally, like, I hear
I don't
taxes.
know this face. I don't know this face I'm receiving.
I will tell you this. I'm going to tell her, because I'm so surprised we're not getting a ton of questions. I'm so surprised we're not getting a ton of feedback on this, because, like, this is stuff that, like, I've had talked about before. I mean, I'm in insurance. I've heard all this stuff before. But to, like, hear this side of it, I'm just like, oh.
So some people, like, you can use an HSA as another, like, retirement account that you have. Because if you take any distributions from that in your retirement for medical expenses, I mean, it's tax-free. But you can't use an HSA for some reason. How silly is this? You can't use an HSA to pay for Medigap premiums.
I didn't know that. You can use it for, like, Part B premiums, Part B deductible, but you can't for, like, the Med Sup. What about, like, DVH premiums?
Anything other than Medigap.
That makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes, it's very bizarre.
Yeah. And we do, so do you work, okay, because you do work with we're getting off script because we don't have a script, so we're never off script. So do you work with MSAs, Medicare Savings Programs?
That's so funny you said that. I, just last week, was on SMS's website refreshing myself on an MSA because I have somebody who I think for the first time would really benefit from that. And I've never actually presented one to a client because I think it's such an you have to have the right financially savvy, healthier person.
Yes.
That would suit for.
If you're talking, and this is such a dated reference, so please forgive me. If you're talking to somebody who is golfing at the country club, they are the ones who are going to want an MSA. They're healthier. They're typically more affluent. They're familiar with the program of HSAs. And the only difference, not the only difference, there's several, but an MSA, a consumer or a client cannot contribute into. It's only the funds that CMS gives them compared to an HSA.
Yeah.
So,
And this guy, he's a retired pharmacist, and he is, like, possibly to date the most knowledgeable client on Medicare that I've ever met with. He is like, I know I'm going to pay Irma for 2 years because they've done, like, some Roth conversions, which is a whole different story. But he was like, what can I be in for 2 years and then join a supplement?
Yeah.
He was like, how can I save money on the premiums for 2 years? And then I'll pay a supplement when I'm done paying Irma.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive.
I get asked some really, like, strategic questions by my clients.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to tell you, like I said, I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I've actually I have spoken at NAHU events where it's been talking about group insurance meeting Medicare and what that process looks like, and I just picked up so much knowledge there.
Well, good.
So thank you. That was really, my face is like, that face you're not familiar with. It's me being like, I didn't know any of this. This is crazy.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
So talking about, last thing I have on here, which seems so insignificant at that point, is talking about the income-related.
Just as important.
Income-related assistance. We talk about that. Oh, and like I want to say, as far as the income-related monthly adjustment amount, Irma, which, by the way, if you're at a NAHU conference and you make a joke that Irma sounds like a hurricane, you refer it to Hurricane Irma, their joke will not land. They will not laugh. And as many times as you say it, it will never be funny. Just throwing that out there.
I got an email from one of my clients that the subject line was Irma's a bee. That's what it was.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
She's not wrong. But talking about the income-related monthly adjustment amount, reminder that you can appeal it.
Yes.
There are, I think 7 reasons
life events.
Yeah, 7 life events that would trigger you being able to appeal the IRMA that was assigned to you. It could be things like you've gotten a divorce, you don't make that income anymore, which makes sense. If you're retired, you're not going to make that income anymore. So you could repeal it for things like that.
Do you see people getting that actual the IRMA overturned? Because I have yet to have a client get their just retirement, I'm retiring,
and I don't make that income.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be completely honest with you. They think they've done some studies that show less than 15% of people are affected by IRMA.
Okay.
And so it's not something that comes across my desk often. Yeah. So, but you, because that's a primary source of your clients, are your high affluent from yours. So, have you seen any cases where IRMA was reversed?
One, and it was when both spouses had a job and both of them retired. But others, it's been one spouse that retired. I don't know. I mean, they had a significant drop in theirs. Right. So I just wonder, does it have to be a significant amount for them to overturn it?
Yeah. I don't know. Very interesting.
Kathy said, is 6 months correct?
Yes. So just
but
to
reiterate, they won't backdate it prior to your 65th birthday month.
So it's not like I'm turning 65 in 6 months, I need to stop contributing. It's if you delay Medicare Part A. So again, you can delay. You cannot have Medicare Part A or B and contribute into your HSA because it will be taxed. So if you're turning 65 in 6 months, you can continue to contribute to your HSA. Once you turn 65, if you decide you're going to keep working and so I'm going to delay Medicare Part A so I can continue to contribute to my HSA, then let's say you retire in 6 months, they're going to take that 6 months post 65 that you were eligible for Part A and didn't take it and look at that for the Medicare, for the HSA funds.
Because it all goes back to the benefit of an HSA is because it's all around tax. You never paid taxes on that, and so they're saying you need to back that out and pay tax because in order to contribute to an HSA, you have to be in a high deductible health plan. Medicare isn't a high deductible health plan.
Yeah, so interesting.
IRMA was reversed when selling a home before their 65th birthday where there was significant income.
They sold their home, so they had this huge jump in incomes and they retired.
I had somebody who, this gentleman, he did what's called a Roth conversion to where he converted all of his traditional IRA money to a Roth. So he had $100,000 of income.
Just bam,
all at once, and it wasn't reversed. So that's what I don't know if I'm doing something wrong in these appeals. So
yeah, interesting thing to keep in mind. And Mary says she saw a statistic similar to mine that only 7% of individuals out there are affected by IRMA. It was back 5 years ago, it was 5% was the number that. Then when they lowered the IRMA threshold,
then it was 15.
But so that 7%, in that ballpark for sure, Mary. I will say, just to kind of talking more about how income affects your clients, there is a certain percentage of individuals who actually get lower B or lower D premiums based on income. And that's not necessarily a tax thing, but it is known as, your extra help, Medicare savings programs, or LIS, aka extra help, which can actually eliminate some or all of your Part D premiums, Part D copays, and Part B premiums as well. So just knowing that we talk a lot about, the income of somebody receiving high and what that looks like when they receive too much money and they have to pay higher premiums. There is also the cases where they can qualify for Medicare savings programs or extra help to get lower premiums.
And the other thing that I just thought of is, if they don't qualify for extra help because their income is too high, there are drug manufacturer discounts that you can apply for, but those are also income-based too.
Yes,
many of them.
Many of them. And we always go to needymeds.org for that.
That's it. I was wanting to look up something. I meant to text you the other day because I couldn't remember that.
Yes.
Needy Meds.
Needymeds.org to look for, just it gives you all assist. So, okay. There's needymeds.org that does it for just medications. You put in your income or you put in your health, and it talks about, and in your prescriptions that you're on, it talks about all the programs that are available, like coupons, savings programs. Some of them you can't have insurance, some of them you can. It brings up everything. If you go to benefitscheckup.org, it's everything. So, like, whenever I was, about when I was like 21, I actually learned about benefits checkup from working here at Senior Marketing Specialist. So, like, I just put in my stuff in there just so, like, if I'm going to teach people about this, let me just put my stuff on there. And I found out that I qualified to get, like, solar paneling put on my house. I qualified because of, like, my parents. I qualified to get, like, ramps added to things. Like, just crazy based on my income at the time, my age, and where I lived in town. So it literally takes your entire life situation and says you qualify for these programs. Which was really, really interesting.
That's awesome.
Benefitscheckup.org, Needy Meds, great aspects to add whenever you're doing a fact-finding appointment.
Mary, this sounds like a similar situation I ran into also. She said the family farm was sold 2 years ago. My client turning 65 this year. However, when I read the exceptions, selling land was not one of the exceptions. Can you fight it based on not being 65 at that time? No, you can't, because it's still based on, it's always income from 2 years prior, even though they weren't 65. And that's what everything I've read or ran into, even if you have a larger income, whether it's, an inheritance or you're selling property or selling a house, to my understanding, it should not qualify as an overturn for an IRMA.
Yeah. Very interesting. I would say try it. You could always try it.
All they're going to say is no.
That's sales 101. The worst they can say is no.
Yeah. And D, death of a spouse will affect IRMA. Yes.
So let's go into, please continue to ask your questions. Love to have more conversations. Again, like I learned so much about taxes in such a short amount of time. But I know the parabolan theorem.
Quadratic
theorem.
Quadratic.
I know her. Let's get into what it looks like for your agency. Again, talking about taxes. I joke that there are a few, what I would say, death to sales agents, and taxes being like number one.
Yeah,
because
and it's simple, guys.
It's, what though? It's so, especially after the first of the year, you write all that business, you get a big check for all your APP business.
You have your deductions.
You have credit cards to pay. You have, lead vendors to buy. You have things like that. So it's so easy to, like, money in, money out.
Yep.
But man, how many people come up and they get their taxes and Mr. Uncle Sam comes to you and says, I need this many monies. And you're like, well, I don't have that because you didn't prep throughout, you didn't prep your quarterly pay-ins, or you didn't save money for that, April 15th date.
And write-offs. I mean, there is so much stuff that you can write off. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember the name of it? Is it Mile IQ?
Yes.
Yes, Mile IQ. The best, if you guys drive, well, I imagine most of you drive.
Most do. Sure.
I mean, it tracks your mileage. You just let it track your location while you're driving, and at the end of the route, it will say, was this business or personal? Swipe left, swipe right. It tracks all your mileage for you, spits it out in a monthly number, yearly number that you can just give to your accountant. The other thing, one of the things that I did probably 2 years ago now, is actually get a credit card or a debit card that's just for business expenses.
So did you open up like a business account?
I did.
Okay.
Yep. And that way, you don't have to, it's just easier to keep track of. Obviously, yes, keep your receipts, but if you're not good at keeping your receipts, at least you have one card that every transaction on that is your business expenses.
I love
it's just
that.
easier to keep track of that way.
And you know what? And it's crazy. There's so many things that you can write off that you would never, and keep in mind, you have to be like a 1099. If you're like a W-2, you're not showing, it's more difficult, sometimes impossible to do a lot of the writing off. So a lot of times you have to make sure that you are 1099. Or, of course, we can go into S Corp versus like LLCs. If you're paying yourself, if you're receiving an income from yourself, it's always so much more helpful to be an entity, to be like an S Corp or an LLC separate from your personal when it comes to this stuff. And taxing goes, oftentimes, if you are personal, you get taxed twice in a lot of situations.
Oh, yeah.
So just making sure that, again, tracking everything. I think the term, and Will said it, was necessary and ordinary. If it's something that's necessary, the term is necessary and ordinary, those things can be written off. So we talked about mileage or gas. Can you do both? I thought it was just one or the other. It's either mileage or gas. Typically, right now that'd be hard because gas is so high. True. But typically, it's mileage will give you a bigger. Yeah, will be bigger.
Give you more than gas. Goodness.
More words.
The other thing, like, think of all the money you're spending right now. I can rattle off how much I've spent the last week on AHIP and continuing education. That stuff adds up. You know, my CFP cost me $400 a year.
Jeez.
Just to keep the license. Then I spend X amount in all the continuing education. All of that stuff, write it off. I have a reminder on the last day of the month. I go back through all my expenses and I put it on my tax spreadsheet.
So you do it like
so I don't stay behind. I tried to do it every week, but I just it got away from me. So I do it once a month. Do it whatever. Don't just whatever works for you, but just don't wait until.
Don't do it all
it's too late, because then you're gonna miss things. You're gonna forget about things.
Joe asked, "What is the name of the miles tracker thing?" It's Mile IQ.
Mile IQ. Yep.
And it is.
It just tracks your. You have to let them track your location, and then it's a little GPS, like a little Google map, and it shows your route, and it saves it, and then after your drive, it'll say, "Was this personal or business?" And then you just tag it as whichever one it is.
I love that.
Yep.
And again, business related typically means like not from your home to your office, but more like from your office to an appointment, from your office to an event, things like that. So if you're traveling and going to these carrier rollouts that are going on right now and they're hosting these big events, go to a carrier rollout, that's deductible. Go to your appointment, that's deductible.
In your car, I mean, I can't tell you how much I make phone calls as I'm on my way to pick up my girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
or if you're working in your car, I work in my car. That's when I make some of my best phone calls.
Yes, I win my best arguments in the shower.
Yeah,
I make my best phone calls in the car.
Yes. Yep.
So it is, and again, it's. I highly recommend, especially. I don't know if you've picked this up or not. Me and taxes, I don't know a lot about them.
So yes, you do. So give yourself some credit.
I cannot say enough how the advantages of actually utilizing a professional and those fees are a write-off.
Exactly.
So using a professional to really make sure you get the absolute most bang for your buck when it comes to, making sure you're getting all of your money back, honestly.
Kim said, I've had several clients appeal their penalty and win after their income was bumped up from selling a business or a home. Good for you.
Yes. Like I said, I think it's, again, these are people reading these. Yes. So the more details, the more stuff that you can put in there to include on that, the better.
Mary said, Kim, do you have a completed appeal that you can share that worked? Interesting.
Kim,
if you feel it's appropriate.
If you feel comfortable and you want to block out any HIPAA-sensitive information, name, personal information like that, you can put that on the Medicare Cafe closed group. And that way you can kind of see, of course, making sure that everything is blocked out. But if you want to show what that would look like, the closed group would be an excellent place to put that appeal form, just if you would feel comfortable sharing that. If you don't, no worries, we understand. So guys, again, that is kind of the gist of what we want to talk about today. I know I learned so much talking about taxes. I do want to go ahead and invite everybody. Senior Reckoning Specialist is putting on the 10th National Senior Sales Summit.
Yay!
It is a remote event, and this year it is 100% free. It is free for you to attend, free to join. We've been charging for that event since like 2015, 2016. So this year is the first time in a long time that it is free.
Guys. So much awesome information.
It is going to be incredible. It is one day this year, and it's going to start at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time for main stage topics. And then all afternoon, we have over 12 breakout events that are completely on demand. In fact, Carrie and I, you might be wondering why we look so fabulous today. Carrie and I just did a Medicare Cafe Summit breakout that we just recorded today.
It did. It was very riveting.
It was. I learned so much from Carrie today. I was interviewing Carrie, talking about her networking partners and how she found success as quickly as she did. Elbow grease is a lot of it, but so if you want to learn more about that, join us for the summit. Again, that is August 17th, completely free. Be looking out in your emails for ways to register for that event.
Mary said could even just show the text that was written for our closed group so that you don't have to worry about any personal information.
For sure.
Any texts?
No. I think maybe everybody was as like panicked as
sleeping,
me.
like, oh no, taxes,
no,
run away.
I was more like, I just was very, very impressed. Very impressed with that. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Again, any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, or promises, you can text us here.
Right here.
Or you can, of course, we have been getting a ton of interaction on the comments today in the chats. So thank you guys so much. It makes our jobs way more funner. So thank you. Way more funner. On that note, again, appreciate you guys. Join us for the sales summit. Make sure, again, if you loved what you saw today, make sure you join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube.
We'll be here.
Any final thoughts? Any taxes? Any other
Keep track of your write-offs.
Keep track of your write-offs. Keep your receipts.
Take the time to do it. You'll be surprised.
You know, I do recommend, too, if you take pictures with your phone of your receipts, because if you're like me, they're gone forever.
Oh, yeah.
And if you take a picture, so in, like, an iPhone, you have, like, memos and, like, notes in your iPhone. If you take a picture while you're in the Notes app, it actually takes a picture as a PDF. So it's a really good way to like save your files as
So is there
PDFs.
just like a little camera in the notes?
Yes, there's a little camera in the notes. When you're in, and again, I don't know about you Android users. It's green, it's gross, I don't like it. But in an iPhone, if you're in the notes section, ooh, what is going on my wrist? Anyways, if you're in the notes section on an iPhone, it will actually take your pictures and save them as PDFs.
That's awesome. Learn something new today.
This is what I do. Awesome.
Thanks for the comments, guys.
Awesome. Yes, thank you guys so much. We will see you next time. So until then, have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service. Thanks, guys.